Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Tuesday, February 14th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you as always. We have a special guest joining us today. We're the land of the opportunity here at the Ice Guys, the land of opportunity. We have obviously a vast array of viewers and listeners, and I just happened to stumble across, and I don't always see all the YouTube comments. So if I'm our special guest, you should be thankful that I actually saw your comment, because I often check the YouTube comments every single day. But there was a YouTube comment left by our guest. You see him on the bottom of the screen, Ben, at saying, "I love the show. I'm on this great run betting in the NHL, and I'd love to be able to come on the Ice Guys show as a guest and prove myself here." So I said, you know what? Let's give this guy a chance. And we ended up organizing a day for him to join us, and today's that day. So welcome into the show, Ben James, right? Ben James to the Ice Guys show. Ben, welcome in.
Yeah, Ben James. I've kind of been going by alias Straight Bet Ben. Not really an alias because it has my name in it. But, we've just been trying to build positive ROI for all bettors. And I'm 24, so a lot of people in my age range, I have friends come up to me daily, with these big parlays, 9 legs, 8 legs, $20-$50 a day, but it adds up, So I've trying to promote for my age range and just new bettors overall. Like, let's stick to straight bets. If you're going to do a parlay, do nuke the odds, you know what I mean? and just try to, I like to like money line parlays. So maybe like a 2-teamer or something like that. But, my goal is to build positive ROI for viewers and, just any new bettors.
No, that's great. So you're like me, where 95% of your betting is single straight bets.
Exactly.
And only a small percentage is parlay. And I think that's the way to go about it. I mean, I'm not saying you can't bet a little to win a lot and put together this massive 10, 12 team parlay. And sometimes you hit the lottery and you win those, but man, it's fucking hard just to win one bet, one game.
Exactly. And that was kind of like in my notes last night. It's like, if you can hit 8 out of 9, you can hit 1 or 2. I usually put up, I would say I'm kind of, I don't know how many plays you put up a day, but I'm usually probably
very high volume.
Yeah. I've seen that over the show. It seems like you bet every single, almost every single game.
Almost. Yep.
Yeah. I usually stick to 3 or 4 that I like. Today I actually released like 6 on my Instagram page. So, there's spots I like and there's spots I don't like. And I just try to look for the spots I like and say to that.
Well done. That's the professional approach. And it sounds like you're taking a professional attitude and approach to your own betting.
Sure.
Absolutely. So just before we get into looking at last night briefly, and then we'll get into the big Tuesday slate, and it is a big Tuesday slate. It's a really good Tuesday slate. We've got 9 games tonight in the NHL. We're always interested. How did you find the Ice Guys show? How long have you been watching the show? How have you been a lifelong hockey fan? Do you love the sport? When did you get into betting it? All that stuff, Ben, tell us.
Yeah, so it all really started, I think I said like 3 years in the comment, but to be completely honest, I really wanted a shot at this, so I may have exaggerated, but I've been strong at this for the past 2 years. It all started with a phone call from one of my business partners that we've done some things in, and he's like, "Yo, I've been making some money betting hockey." And I was like, "Really?" And, I started looking at the stats and I just looked at it. And one day I threw a couple bucks on the Flyers to beat the Coyotes last year. And, we came up, and then from there we went on a good run. I started messing with parlays, and that's where I took my dip. But this year we're going strong. We went 32-11 in the past 30 days.
Wow.
So on straight bets, a couple parlays here and there, but, just picking the spots, staying confident, looking at the trends, current form, all that.
Wow, it's 32-11. You'll definitely get some profits put away if you have that kind of run. There's no question about that. Hockey fan, you love the sport. Do you have a favorite team away from betting? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing. Like I do NBA, I do CBB, I do really it all. Football was kind of mean to me this year. I had the Eagles. I know you had the Chiefs.
No, I had the Eagles too.
You had the Eagles?
But the thing is, I had both teams as futures from before the season. I had 10-1
Gotcha.
on Kansas City, 25-1 on the Eagles. I would have preferred the Eagles win. It'd be a better fucking payout, but
Yeah,
what it is could have been worse.
yeah, I had the over, so that treated me well. But other than that, I love this sport. I do a bunch of other sports, but this is the one sport I consistently watch. I don't get to catch every single game, obviously, like a night like tonight, unless I have 20 screens, but I just got that one back there. But yeah, I try to catch every game. Huge fan of the sport. Definitely a newcomer, so I'm trying to keep up with all y'all information. But I would say my favorite team, I got a Leafs jersey in my closet currently. So I'm going to stick with that. But I am from Jersey. So if I was a Devils fan, I'm definitely missing out on that whole run they're having.
Yeah, well, they're having a great season. There's no question about that. And like I say, they have to survive a little turmoil right now with the absence of Jack Hughes, but
Right.
certainly that's going to test them. But we'll see if. But they've certainly had a great season up until this point. So we'll see if they can keep it going. Last night, Alex is having some tech issues, so hopefully he's going to be able to be back here with us momentarily. But let's look back briefly on last night. I don't want to spend too much on last night. It was a short card. There's a lot of games today, but we do want to mention it. Last night, we saw a terrible loss for the Calgary Flames. It's as simple as that. Horrible, horrible loss. You're up 3-1 late in the third period. Ottawa with 2 goals late. And then, of course, Timmy Stützle in overtime with the game winner, and it ends up 4-3 for Ottawa. And again, Jacob Markstrom issues once again for this hockey team, especially that game-winning goal. It's a nice shot by Stützle, but it went right through him. You know, you got to make that stop. It can't go through you like that. Can't go short side. Can't go through the body like that. It was just not a goal you can give up in that kind of situation, especially when Calgary dominated the hockey game entirely, really. And it seemed like the few chances Ottawa got, they scored. And you have to give Mads Søgaard credit. Man, I never knew that guy was as fucking tall as he is until I saw him last night in goal for the Senators. He's a tall son of a gun. Holy crap. He can fill up a lot of the net for that team. And he played really well last night for the Ottawa Senators in that game and outplayed the veteran, Jacob Markstrom. So very frustrating loss for Calgary. And Calgary's had a lot of these losses this season where they've outplayed the opponent for most, if not the entire game, and they end up on the losing end of it. Last night was more of the same. And Dylan Dubé, hell of a night, goes to waste with that 4-3 comeback for Ottawa last night. Arizona with the big upset, 4-2 over Nashville as more than plus 200 underdogs in that game. Nashville just think about next year at this point. I mean, this is now 2 bad home losses they've had since the All-Star break. The Vegas game, they were never even in that game. They were completely dominated. They didn't even get to 20 shots on goal. And now you have another bad home loss here to Arizona. It's not happening for this team. I don't see them making the playoffs. They're still, 4 or 5 points out of the wild card. I don't see any consistency. I don't see any hot streak coming along for this group. They don't score enough. And when Saros has an average night like he did last night, they don't win. It's that simple. So Nashville's got their problems. They lose 4-2 to the and I don't like their coach, John Hines. I think he's one of the more overrated, useless coaches in the NHL. Any success Nashville has is in spite of John Hines, in my opinion. So Arizona with that win 4-2 last night in that game. What else did we see? We saw Florida pull out a 2-1 shootout win over the struggling Minnesota Wild, who did snap their losing streak against New Jersey, but couldn't keep it going against Florida. Florida deserved the win. They outplayed Minnesota. Gustafsson was very good. Gustafsson's the reason Minnesota was still able to get a point last night in that game, but Florida gets the extra point with the shootout win 2-1. Detroit mauling Vancouver 6-1. Best bet winner for me with over 6.5 with Detroit and Vancouver. I mean, it's just wash, rinse, repeat with Canucks games over the total. That hasn't changed one damn bit, even with Rick Tocchet now as the head coach. Can't defend. Penalty kill's terrible. Goaltending is average or below average with Delia. And again, another night where they give up goals in bunches and a 6-1 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. Rick Tocchet saying, we got to go back to school and teach defensive fundamentals and start and stop principles after last night's loss. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Bruce Boudreau tried those same principles, and they didn't exactly instill and execute those very well, did they? Tockett's going to have to hope he has different results than every other recent coach with Vancouver, trying to get this team to play solid defense. It certainly hasn't been possible. And I've said it all along. It's not that the coach can't get them to play that way and they're not doing their job. They don't have personnel to play good defense. They just don't have the personnel. They don't have the quality people on the blue line to be a solid defensive hockey team. I've said that over and over again about the Vancouver Canucks, and I stand by that after last night. The LA Kings 5-2 win over Buffalo last night. Another game where Buffalo's just so many blown assignments in their defensive zone again. Breakdowns leading to LA goals. It wasn't pretty to watch. And this is now becoming a trend with Buffalo. And if they have any aspirations of being a playoff team, they have to nip this in the bud. You can't be playing lax defense to that extent. The Calgary game was an embarrassment at home. Calgary did whatever they wanted. Last night against LA, I thought they were a little bit better, especially early in the game, but most of the LA goals were just odd man rushes, defensive lapses and coverage, and the kind of shit that can't happen, if you're going to be a winning team and if you're going to be a team that's going to be a playoff team at the end of the day. So Buffalo's got to fix that. And last night was the very first time where I was watching that game and Craig Anderson had a nightmare night. That's exactly what an absolute nightmare night. He couldn't track pucks. Pucks were in his skates and his feet. He couldn't find it. He's given up short side goals right along the ice. He's not moving laterally across the crease very quickly enough to stop pucks that went right through him last night. It was a nightmare for Craig. And last night was the first night where I'm like, you know what? It's been a great ride, Craig. It's time to hang up the skates, Andy. I think it might be. That was bad. And look, he's had some nice moments, but I find he's had more shakier moments than good moments. That was tough for him. Tough to watch that because he's had a nice career. He's in his 40s. He's had obviously some issues with his wife's gone through some health scares, but last night was not good for Craig Anderson. But you know what is good? We got Alex B. Smith back with us. Alex, I know tech issues, but you're back with us, I think, on your phone. What did you think of last night?
Yeah, it's interesting games. Obviously, I was really happy to see the Wilds in Florida go into overtime, and that was for a 2-1 game. It was actually a pretty exciting battle, and it kind of went down exactly as I thought too. I mean, they weren't a lot of chances in that third period, really in most of the second period as well. You're going to see this often with these teams that are fighting for playoff spots, especially when they're playing out of conference or out of division. You're going to see teams, tighten up the sticks a little bit late, and these games go to overtime. So hope to keep the draw train rolling for sure. That was definitely the biggest result. And then also Detroit, there was a nice win there, taking care of business against Vancouver. We talked about how weird that scheduling spot was for the Canucks. So for them to end up losing, coming back home. So those are two positive results for me as well. But you mentioned about Craig Anderson, definitely. His better days are behind him, and he's turning in some of these rough performances. Like I said, Buffalo's really got to make a decision sooner than later if they want to try and be a team to make a run for the wild card spot this year. They've got to do something about this goaltending.
They do, and the defense. They could have a stay-at-home defenseman. I think you need another one of those. But the thing is, I don't know if you want to speed up the rebuilding process, because I don't know even if this team does improve the blue line or shore some things up at the trade deadline, if they're good enough to win a first-round series, even if they do get in. So I'm almost, if I'm Kevin Adams, the GM, thinking stand pat with this group, see what they do, see if they get in or not. I know it would be frustrating to just miss out and you're in no man's land because you're not in the lottery and you're not in the playoffs, but you don't want to speed up the rebuild in order to just get thumped in the first round. And I worry that could happen, for Buffalo, even if they do get in. So they're in a tricky spot right now with what they decide to do, the path they decide to take at the trade deadline. Ben, what did you think of last night?
Yeah, so not much volume for me last night in the NHL. I did have the Flames, and we
terrible.
We all saw how that
went. Thank goodness I gravitated to the over there. I mean, I've been screwed and wronged and just totally dismayed by Calgary so many times. I said enough's enough. And
yeah, so really inconsistent. Yeah, a really inconsistent team. They've definitely screwed me a couple of times this year, but I felt like this was a good spot for them, and I think it was the right pick for all of us. I think it was just bad luck, and that's what I told everyone who follows me. I just I think when the Senators scored that second goal to make it 3-2, I was actually happy too because I had the over. So I was looking at something. towards that as well. But feeling that, I cheered, but then I was like, wait, this feels too good. The energy that they had, and then Stutzel comes through with that breakaway goal at the end, and it kind of just takes it. And I had that feeling going into overtime. I feel like we see this a lot where the teams score with the extra player, and it kind of just changes the momentum. I think I forget what game it was versus Buffalo, but I remember that helped me cash an over. They scored with a man down, and I believe if they had a couple more seconds, they would have gotten in the net and tied that game. So also with the Panthers and the Wild, I had the under on that game. Surprisingly, I felt like this was a good spot for the Wild to kind of show improve and get back to the game they have, which is strong defense and goaltending and all that. So I felt like they would keep it low scoring. I did think the Panthers would win, but I did not have a play on that. And
all right,
yeah, everything else I was kind of just tuned out of and just kind of focused on those two games.
All right, nothing wrong with that. It's hard. Yeah, sometimes it's harder to keep up with especially on a night like tonight when we have 9 games coming up. Speaking of those 9 games, let's get into it. 9 games on this Tuesday slate will begin in Montreal. Blackhawks, Canadiens. We've got Montreal minus 140 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I'm going to gravitate more toward the total here than a side in this game. You've got obviously the Montreal Canadiens that swept the 2 games over their Super Bowl weekend back-to-back homestand. Of course, we talk about how they played the Saturday and Sunday home games on Super Bowl weekend every single year. And we saw more of that, obviously, this weekend, and they get the sweep, back-to-back wins. And look, the teams they beat are, the Islanders could still make the playoffs. They're a decent team, and they're probably a better team now with Bo Horvat. And they beat the Islanders, and then they beat Edmonton, and beat Edmonton convincingly, 6-2. On Sunday afternoon. So this Montreal team playing well, but yeah, this definitely feels like, not applicable. You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking from a spot perspective. Nap time for the Montreal Canadiens a little bit. The 2 big wins, and now they're favored. And look, Montreal, I've said this over and over again about Montreal. I consider them in spots as an underdog, and I did take a small little piece of them against Edmonton when they were plus 240 in that game. But when they're laying a price, it's usually because they're expected to win now, and that's sometimes where the Montreal's a little bit dicey. They have those games where when they're playing someone in their weight class, they don't play as well, but they are okay punching up in weight class sometimes and pulling off these big upsets. So it's not a price I'm looking to lay with Montreal here in this game. I lean Chicago, but I like the over more. In this game, probably will see goals back and forth. I like this angle late in the season after the All-Star break, back half of the year, 2 teams going nowhere, play for exercise, roll the puck out. Nobody blocks a shot when you're not going anywhere. And Montreal's trended over the total in 3 straight games, 5-4, and both games since the All-Star break for the Habs have gone over the total. 4-3 and 6-2 were the scores in those games. You've got Chicago, by the way, is on their own little Edmonton Oilers trend lately, going back to the middle of January, where they go over the total and then they go under and then they go over and then they go under and then they go over and under and over and under and over and under. Well, they're coming off an under. Guess what I think they're going to do tonight? Go over. So I think the over's the play here. Over 6 minus 120. We don't have confirmation who's in net for Chicago. It will be Jake Allen. Once again from Montreal, who was absolutely terrific against Edmonton. He only gave up the 2 goals, and he was fantastic. It is going to be the young kid, Jackson Stauber, in goal, it looks like, for Chicago. I probably will add a small bet on Chicago with him confirmed in net. He's 3-0 as a starting goalie here for the Blackhawks. He's played relatively well, although I do think he's going to give up some goals at some point. There's definitely some peripherals and some metrics out there that point to the fact that he's not going to keep this up indefinitely. Montreal is scoring in bunches right now as well. And I think Chicago will find the back of the net, even though Allen played well last game. Let's keep in mind, they've got Edmondson day-to-day due to injury. Caden Gooley's out on the blue line. And now Arbor Jacki injured and out for this game as well due to an injury of some kind. And I think it came from, one of the fights that he had over the weekend. He got in a couple dust-ups. One of them was against Vincent Desharnais for the Oilers in that game on Sunday. And I think the injury might have stemmed from that. But Arbor Jacki won't be in there. And when you're already decimated a little bit and thin on the blue line, that's not exactly what you want to see. So I think Chicago can find the back of the net. Again, Chicago's in one of these trends lately where, again, off and under in their last game. They've gone over in their next game. I think that happens tonight. Both of Montreal's games have gone over since the All-Star break. So that's what I'm looking at here. Over 6, -120. Smaller bet on Chicago now with Stauber confirmed as well. Chicago at +120. What do you think here, Ben? Chicago, Montreal?
Yeah, so now that you just confirmed that Stauber's in that, I may have a small play on the Blackhawks for sure. That's what I was just waiting on. Last time these two teams played, he was in net. We saw a 3-2 victory, I believe, by the Blackhawks. I believe by the Blackhawks. So I would definitely lean Blackhawks side perspective. Road team is 8-1 in the last 9 meetings. Blackhawks are 7-0 in the last meetings in Montreal. So I think that's sets up a good trend for the Blackhawks, especially with Stauber on net. And
Blackhawks have won 7 straight in Montreal. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's just like the Canadiens and the Leafs, you know.
Yep.
Now when we talk about the total, I would lean into the under. Only because last time Stauber was in net, it was an under, as well as I think when we see this every year. We just saw it with the Canadiens and the Oilers that you bring it up. When we see a good team and a bad team get together, we usually see the great team. They just don't get up for it. They walk in there with their heads down and they just, and then I feel like on the other hand, when we have two bad teams, we see a much tighter checking defensive game. I can totally see the argument for the over. But for some reason, this feels like a 3-2 game to me personally. And I think we'll see something like that, but I could also see it going 4-2. So I'm going to stay off the total, because I could see that going over, by a little bit, 4-3, but I don't know. Just off gut feeling, I see a 3-2, 4-2. It's at 6? Yeah. So
6. Yeah.
Yeah. So a push, I don't really like to touch those if I think it's just going to be a push. But yeah, I would lean Blackhawks and I would lean more to the under. Under is actually 4-1 in Blackhawks last 5 versus Eastern Conference. Under is 5-1-2 in Canadiens last 8 after allowing 2 goals or less in the previous game. Under is 4-0 in the last meetings in Montreal. But I definitely see the argument for the over, but I'm going to stay off the total.
Yeah, it was the right hand he injured in that fight with Desharnais Sunday against Edmonton for Arbor Jacki. That's why he's out. So, yeah, and 4 straight unders in Montreal. Look, there's definitely a case for the under. Right. There's no question. And Stauber's been good. But I just think with Montreal, with the defensive injuries, they'll give up some goals. And I think Chicago against that depleted blue line will give up some goal. They'll give up some goals. So definitely Dickinson's cooled off, but he's still getting the points. You can look at props there. Kirby Doc, Alex is in the chat. Man, his internet's just not treating him well today. But Alex is in the chat now. Alex B. Smith saying that anything Kirby Doc is worth a look tonight. To score against his former team, shots on goal over. They're all worth a look, in my opinion. Points, by the way, for Doc, a point in 7 of the last 10 games for him. Jake Allen, by the way, with this defense, his saves prop has gone over in 7 of the last 10 games. And now that defense is depleted even more now with no Jacki. You could see Chicago peppering him tonight. So over saves prop on Jake Allen could be worth a look. Josh Anderson's been heating up. You can go in that direction as well. Seth Jones for the Chicago Blackhawks. Mike Hoffman points, 6 of the last 10. Mike Hoffman shots on goal, 5 straight have gone over with his shots on goal. So those are all good little prop options I would consider as well in this game here tonight. All right, next up, we've got Carolina and Washington. Carolina -170, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Of course, both of these teams off a disappointing setback in their last game. Carolina losing to the New York Rangers 6-2 on Saturday night. That incredible game from Artemi Panarin with 4 goals to beat the Hurricanes in that matchup. And then Washington, boy, did we have that pegged on Sunday on our Super Bowl Sunday Ice Guys show. Didn't we say after beating Boston on the road 2-1, wouldn't it be so Capitals to just come back home and shit the bed and lay an egg, have a clunker, have a stink bomb, an El Stinko, an El Stank against the San Jose Sharks? And that's exactly what we saw. 4-1 losing at home against the San Jose Sharks. A big dog best bet for me on Sunday on the show with San Jose. So you got both teams in a pretty angry mood, looking to bounce back here. But when both teams are looking to bounce back, I always say, trust the better team to find a way. And to me, that's Carolina. They've won 2 straight against Washington. Earlier this year, they won in a shootout 3-2 at home. I think Carolina gets the job done here. I like them in regulation. The line obviously has crept up to -170 on Carolina because of the news of Alex Ovechkin being out, obviously attending to a personal matter, a family matter. There's a health issue in his family, and he's away dealing with that right now. So no question about it. That is obviously the captain. That's a huge loss. Obviously, it goes without saying, anytime you don't have Alex Ovechkin in the lineup, if you're the Washington Capitals, you're a worse fucking hockey team. That's all there is to it. Tom Wilson's out. You still have John Carlson, Connor Brown, Nick Dowd, all the guys that have been missing for the last several games still out. And this is the first of the back-to-back. Good point, Alex. They're playing again outdoors Saturday in Raleigh, Carter Finley Stadium, where the NC State Wolfpack play football. That is where they're going to play the Stadium Series game. Carolina hosting Washington Saturday night on ABC. So this is like a little back-to-back these two teams are doing here in Washington tonight, and then they go back to Washington on Saturday. Although I think Carolina, they both have a game in between this game and their outdoor game on Saturday. Yes, Washington's hosting Florida on Thursday, and Carolina is hosting Montreal on Thursday. So they do both play one game after this before they meet up again for the Stadium Series on Saturday. But I like Carolina in regulation here. I actually think this game might get over the total. 5.5 is pretty low. I'm always trying to make a case for the over. And look, Carolina, they've actually trended that way their last few games. Washington hasn't been consistently scoring. That'd be the one concern you'd have, but 5.5, I'm awfully tempted for over the total here. 2 of the last 3 head-to-head meetings have gone over. So a smaller look toward the over, but primary bet, the stronger one for me here is Canes in regulation, and you can get that close to even money. Ben, what do you think here? Carolina, Washington.
Did we cut out? You can still see me?
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're
okay,
good.
All right, cool. Quick question. Did we just hear that Makar, I know it's a little side note, did we just hear that Makar is playing tonight?
It sounds like it. Yeah, we'll get to that after.
Okay. Sorry. I just blew my mind real quick. Kind of messes up a little bit I had, but whatever. So yeah, I love the regulation play. I actually was able to get the Hurricanes -150 last night on the money line. So I grabbed that around 1 a.m.
Good job. Yep.
I agree with you on the over completely. I can see a 4-2 game. And at first I was on the under, seeing 2 defensive teams, but at 5.5, it just feels a little low. I can definitely see a 4-2 game. The Capitals super inconsistent lately, having a little trouble getting the back of the net. So that worries me on the over just a little bit. But I agree with you on the they want to bounce back after that embarrassing loss to the Sharks. But yeah, I lean Carolina for sure. It's a little bit of contradicting stats. Hurricanes are 5-13 in the last 18 meetings in Washington. Hurricanes are 2-5 in the last 7 meetings overall. But when we have trends like that, I like to look at current form. Hurricanes have killed it on the road lately, 4-0 in the last road games. Capitals only 1-5 in the last 6 games when the opponent scores 2 or more goals in their last previous game. I also saw a stat that I like to look at quite often. Hurricanes are 6-1 when listed on the money line at -150 to -175. I just thought that's kind of like a interesting stat to look at. As far as from the books perspective, they seem to kind of be on point with where they go. So I like to always look at that.
Yeah, that's not a bad not a bad tip there. To consider those when in your day-to-day NHL handicapping. Not applicable. Chinese hot air balloon over Alex's house. That's pretty funny. It's pretty good. I like that one. Pretty funny. Yeah, Carolina in regulation. You did a good job. You got them just straight money line -150.
Correct.
So that's
Correct.
good.
That's like the highest. That's the highest I'll lay usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a
Yeah,
little
I agree, and I
touchdown.
like the over a little bit here. And as far as the prop market goes, Burns with a point in 7 of his last 10, Teravainen 7 of his last 10. Marty Necas continues. I put him even to score a goal as well. Marty Necas, he's been really good for the Carolina Hurricanes. And also Marty Necas, when you look at it too, is not scared to shoot the puck. The shots on goal are probably worth a look on him tonight for this hockey game against Washington as well. So definitely some props. Again, now we're finally getting some time to really look into more of the shots on goal props. I've always been giving you some goal props and stuff like that on the show all season long, but now we're getting some time with football behind us to look more into the shots on goal. And his shots on goal is only even money on Marty Necas tonight. So I think that's probably a good look here in this matchup. Necas, yeah, Aho. Certainly, I wouldn't talk anyone out of Aho over shots on goal or Aho point or Aho goal. We know he is certainly the catalyst, one of them for the Carolina Hurricanes for sure going into this one. And there's, I think, one more I was looking at for Carolina. By the way, it's probably going to be Freddie Anderson for Carolina. Not confirmed, though, yet, and it will be Darcy Kemper back in goal for the Washington Capitals for tonight's game. Do we trust Kotkaniemi a little bit? I'm asking that because, he's someone that has 4 points in the last 3 games, starting to step up a little bit, and he scored against the Rangers, one of the 2 goals for Carolina in that game, and he's now in the second line center spot for the Hurricanes, so he's moved up a little bit. I think some value on Kotkaniemi. Again, this is an enigma. It's a guy that hasn't clicked since he's been with this Carolina team. But certainly there's potential there, and he's plus 475 to score a goal tonight if you want to take that risk that Kotkaniemi maybe gets a little look here. Protas top line, yes, great find there. That is true. We're always interested in those players that are moving up the lineup, and Strome as well. Strome has been pretty reliable for Washington lately, centering that top line. Those are good prop looks. And then Protas, like you mentioned there, David, with Strome and Oshie on the top line, getting this opportunity now. Let's see how he fares with that chance playing on the top line for the Washington Capitals tonight. Definitely value in the prop on him because of that. All right, New Jersey, Columbus. We've got New Jersey minus 200 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. We've got the Devils, obviously, coming off the loss to Minnesota over the weekend. They'll be in bounce back mode. Columbus rallied from a bad start against Toronto Saturday night. They lost on Friday at home to Toronto, but bounced back to win 4-3 against the Leafs on Saturday night. The Leafs just did their typical fall asleep routine, take a bad opponent for granted and not bring the work ethic. They got outworked, they got outcompeted, out-hustled, all that stuff in the last 2 periods, and Columbus came back and won. I mean, you don't take it all away from Columbus, but the Leafs basically, if they keep their foot on the gas pedal, they drill that Toronto. They probably drill that team, but they didn't, and they allowed Columbus life, and Columbus got back into it and won 4-3. Columbus at home here, we'll see how they fare tonight in this game. Merzlikins is back in net, and he hasn't started back-to-back games in a while for Columbus, but look, he got the win, and he played well. For as much as we've documented the struggles and all the issues Merzlikins has had, his numbers are terrible. He's had a nightmare season, but he had one of his better starts in a while on Saturday night against Toronto. He played pretty solid in that game for the Jackets, but now he's back home. Okay, and we've talked about this situation with him at home. His numbers are even worse in Columbus because that damn cannon. I think PTSD sets off for him when that cannon goes off because of the traumatic incident with his teammate with the fireworks. We've talked about this endlessly. I don't think he's comfortable always playing in the home building there at Nationwide Arena, and that's where he is tonight for this game. I don't trust him to, that was the first really great start he's had in a long time. I don't trust him to have a similar strong outing tonight against New Jersey. I would lean over here. I mean, 3 straight overs with these 2 teams, 6.5. It's pretty high number, but it's high for a reason. I could see there being goals here tonight in this game. I think New Jersey bounces back as well. If you look at Columbus is another one of these teams, like an Anaheim, like an Arizona, these teams that just aren't very good. They don't bounce back when they win the previous game. They're not good in that regard, being able to play well in terms of after a win. Columbus long-term, the results for them after a win are not good at all. I'm just trying to see if I can find them here after a win. Yeah, 23-54. That is the streak for the Columbus Blue Jackets after a win. So they're just not very good in terms of stringing wins together, which is what you expect from a team that's not going to make the playoffs. So I think Jersey and regulations, the look here for me, over as well. And keep in mind, Gavrikov here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, if there's anybody that you could call a very good defenseman, defensive defenseman in his own zone on this team, there's not many. Vladislav Gavrikov is one of them. Okay, he's very, very highly sought after at the trade deadline. There's multiple teams talking with Columbus about obtaining him at the deadline. He is a good shutdown defenseman. He's one of the few that the Jackets have. Well, he's being held out tonight because a trade could be imminent, or they're hot and heavy in trade discussions involving Gavrikov. So they don't want to put him in there, and that definitely dents and definitely hurts the Columbus blue line. They're a much weaker defensive team without him because he's one of the few guys that will actually check and defend and knock someone on their keister, clear the front of the net, clear the puck out of the crease area and the slot area. So it's a massive they're a much worse defensive team, in my opinion, with Gavrikov sitting on the sideline. And that's exactly what we're going to see here tonight. So I think that helps the over, probably helps the New Jersey out a little bit as well. What do you think here, Ben? Devils, Blue Jackets?
Yeah, Ian. So you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I'm definitely on the over. I haven't placed that yet, but it definitely may happen sometime today. But I may wait in game. What you said about Merzlikins being at home, or I'm more than that, the Blue Jackets, the stat you gave on them, after a win, that's kind of like my main point on it. Let's not overthink it. The Devils are a great team. Jack Hughes shouldn't really scare you. If we're going to compare it to the Ovechkin thing, that scares me way more than Jack Hughes being out. But yeah, I'm all over the Devils here. I definitely like the over. The over is 4-1-1 in the last 6 meetings in Columbus. I would lean to New Jersey puck line, but that hasn't been nice to me this year. So I kind of stay off those. I feel like, honestly, this year we've seen tight checking games. Last year we saw 7, 6.5 consistently. Now we're seeing 6, some 5.5. We actually have, I think, 2 5.5 on the board today. So I feel like the NHL, you have to read the room every year, and you kind of have to pick your spots when it comes to these totals.
Yep, definitely do. So liking the over here has been in this one, Devils and Blue Jackets in this game. So it should be interesting. And like I say, I think Columbus can chip in offense, because the one thing you have to factor in with Columbus is they still have offensive talent. They do. They still have ability to put the puck in the net. I think their defense is going to be hurting a little bit tonight because, again, with Gavrikov out, you're already without Bean, Werenski, 2 of your best defensemen, and now you're down to Tim Burney, Eric Goodbranson, Nick Blankenberg, who's still very young and raw, Andrew Peak, Gavin Bayreuther, Adam Boquist. That's just a mishmash blue line right now. So they're really going to be in tough tonight. But, I do think the Jackets could find the back of the net. Marchenko's moving up to the top line with the captain Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau. So, we're always interested in Kirill Marchenko right now for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kent Johnson, we've talked about him playing with Sillinger and Laine. He's always a threat for the New Jersey Devils going into this game. Palat, Hischier, and Bratt have really been the straw that stirs the drink for them with Jack Hughes out offensively. So you could always target any one of those players. And Dougie Hamilton, I don't care what you do, but find a way with him right now to bet point props, goal props, shots on goal, anything of that magnitude with Dougie Hamilton. Do it, okay? Because I think he's taken the onus on himself right now with Jack Hughes out. Drive that offense from the blue line. Who's going to do that? Who's going to be the best player adept to do that on this hockey team? Me, Dougie Hamilton. So that's probably what he's thinking. That's probably what he's saying to himself. I need to be a catalyst. I need to drive this offensive machine even more. And even with Jack Hughes healthy and on the ice, he's still not shy about jumping into the play, activating from the blue line, pounding that puck on net at every given opportunity. But I find now it's even more the case that Dougie Hamilton is looking to get involved offensively for the New Jersey Devils every single time he's on the ice. So there's no question, whether it's shots props, whether it's goal prop, point props, it's Dougie Hamilton right now. It's worth it to look in that direction from a prop standpoint involving the big defenseman for the Devils. All right, next up, we've got the Ottawa Senators and the New York Islanders. Islanders minus 200, home favorites here, 6 the total in this game. Ottawa, they probably think they're done in that game when there's about 3 minutes left and they're down 3-1. They're pulling the goalie, just hoping to make it a 1-goal game. And next thing you know, they go bang, bang. The game's tied. And then Timmy Stützle, a softie, Dairy Queen softie, passed Jacob Markstrom for the overtime winner, 4-3 to stun the Calgary Flames last night in that game. Meanwhile, you got the Islanders sitting, waiting for them since Saturday when they lost 4-3 to the Montreal Canadiens in that early Saturday afternoon game. This, to me, is a double up on the Islanders. First period puck line, and I'm going to go in regulation as well. In fact, you know what? That first period puck line, I'm thinking about, I will probably add a bet of some kind, first period puck line for the other 2 teams I like in regulation that I've already talked about, Carolina and also New Jersey. I'll probably go a first period puck line bet on both of them as well, because sometimes you see these games where they start strong and they kind of limp to the finish. And, I don't want to be on the end of it where I didn't get involved in the first period puck line at a plus price, especially if I think they're coming to play and going to have a strong start. So first period puck line on Carolina is probably not a bad look. New Jersey, it's not a bad look. I'm probably going to get involved in both of those, as well as the New York Islanders first period puck line here tonight and in regulation. I think it's their spot. Bounce back time with Bo Horvat on this team. I believe they're 2-0 at home. They beat Seattle and they beat no, they didn't. They lost to Vancouver. Sorry, they're 1-1 at home. They beat Seattle, but then Vancouver beat them at home in their last home game. But no, this is a good spot for the Islanders. They're rested. Ottawa now comes back after that big win last night. Who the hell are they going to turn to in goal, by the way? It was Mads Søgaard last night. It's on a back-to-back. Do you really want to put Mads Søgaard back in again on a back-to-back? You could be looking at Kevin Mandolese. Now, they're calling him Kevin Mandolese. I guarantee you, if you're a true blue Italian, he's Kevin Mandolese. That's how you say the name. Kevin Mandolese. That's how you say it. That's the Italian way to say it. But I think here in North American English, we're calling him Mandolese right now for the Ottawa Senators. It could be him in net. He's also been in the AHL for this team this year. And again, Forsberg and Talbot aren't back anytime soon. So Søgaard was in last night. It could be Mandolese here tonight for them. And he had a 3.6 goals against average, 879 save percentage in 13 games for Belleville in the AHL. So that's not great. Those are not good numbers for the AHL. Now you're going to end up coming back home here, or now you might be making your NHL debut here for the Senators against a rested Islanders team. So this could be one of those games where we do a quartet of bets, and we just, rather than 1 units per se on 2 bets, you break it up into quarterly bets equaling 1 unit. We could go an Islanders first period puck line. I like that. Islanders regulation. I like that. Islanders team total. I like that. I think over 6 could get there as well. I've said it all along. I'm looking to bet Islander games over the total. I think their offense with Horvat is going to be more punch to it. We've seen that certainly the last few games from the Islanders. They're scoring goals. And Ottawa is still a team that's capable offensively as well to chip in and help that game get over the total tonight. So it's really what I'm looking at here would be Islanders first period puck line regulation, team total over is not a bad look, the full game over as well. And we might get, like I said, it's going to be Sorokin for the Islanders, but wouldn't surprise me if Kevin Mandolese is in net here for Ottawa. And Nick Holden, by the way, is out. We talked about how Jake Sanderson's out on the blue line too. He didn't play last night. He's on IR. And now Nick Holden, who's actually one of their, I guess, decent to better defensive-minded defensemen, he got hurt last night. He's out tonight. So it's a thin blue line for the Ottawa Senators tonight. So even more reason we could see goals. What do you think here, Ben? Sens, Islanders.
Yeah, I actually I agree with you on the Islanders perspective. If I were to lean aside, it would definitely be the Islanders. I don't know if I can really trust the Senators off that win they had last night. And I definitely don't want to back them in any way after making me lose in that horrible way. One thing I was looking at that I think could definitely be profitable is Bo Horvat shots on goal. Last 4 games, we saw 4-2, 4 and 5. So I think that's definitely a good look. Definitely juicy.
That'll be on my card. Fully agree.
Yep. Definitely a little juice right now. I think it's at minus 150 the last time I saw it. But personally, I don't mind laying those prices with certain players who are just getting over. And I definitely think that there's a way to bet these player props with guys like this. They may have 20 games. They may play 20 games and hit it 14 out of 20 times. If you keep playing them, you're going to be profitable. It's just about finding the right spots and just keep riding with it, because you may place them the one night and then the next night they're going to hit it. So pay attention to the 2.5s. Those are really good. And don't be scared for the juice. In the end of the day, we want to cash these bets. And if you got to lay a little bit more of a buck, then let's do it.
All right. I like it. Yep. I like what you're going with the Horvat shots on goal. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No doubt him to get a point, although it's pretty pricey, I wouldn't touch that, but to him to score a goal as well, plus 160 in some spots. Yeah. Obviously he's an obvious candidate. I think if you're going to go with anyone on Ottawa, you go with Timmy Stützle. He's been good. He's been heating. Tkachuk too. I mean, who are we kidding? Tkachuk has been excellent lately for the Senators, playing like a captain. You expect the captain to rise up. Batherson as well gets a goal last night for the Senators. I mean, he's had a point streak, but that was a goal needed to break a little goal drought. But yeah, Stützle's been excellent. He's got 8 points and 3 goals in the last 3 games for the Senators. And yeah, Tkachuk's just been automatic with points. He's gotten 4 goals in the last 5 games. So there's definitely some good prop options here in this one for the Ottawa Senators as well, even though I think the Islanders will do most of the scoring and win this hockey game. Great stuff so far with our guest, Ben James, joining us for the first time here on the Ice Guys show. We will be back to break down the remainder of the Tuesday NHL card. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Back in a moment right after we hear from Gramco.
All right. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys. We roll along. Next game on the Tuesday slate, Florida Panthers, St. Louis Blues. We've got Florida minus 135, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. The Panthers, it is a back-to-back for the Florida Panthers after a shootout victory last night in Minnesota against the Minnesota Wild. The Florida Panthers, by the way, if you're interested, they are 2-6 this year on the second night of back-to-back games. So this has not been a great roll for them. But they are 7-1 to the over this year in 8 back-to-back situations. So they've trended over, and their win-loss record isn't great in this spot. That 2-6 is really the only thing that's keeping me off the Panthers here. I mean, I cashed a ticket with Florida last night. It was not easy, but they were the right side. I thought they outplayed Minnesota. They deserved the 2 points. They got the 2-1 shootout win last night in that game against the Minnesota Wild. I just don't love this spot enough, nor do I love the price enough, minus 135 to take Florida. But I don't want St. Louis. I don't. I mean, I know they beat Arizona in overtime 6-5 in their first game after the break. Big freaking deal. It's still a team that is really having issues, especially defensively, man. I mean, they are just good to give up at least 4 or 5 goals in a majority of games. We've seen that. They give up 5 to Chicago and to Buffalo and to Arizona, 4 to Colorado, 4 to Winnipeg, 5 to Arizona in the rematch on the weekend, even though St. Louis did win that game. So they are giving up goals in bunches here. That's not what you want to see. The goaltending matchup, it should be Jordan Binnington. We expect him in net for the Blues tonight. His performances lately have not been good. There is a potential that Spencer Knight returns for the Florida Panthers tonight. It is a back-to-back. It looks like that he was able to dress as the backup last night to Sergei Bobrovsky. So it sure seems like he might get his first start since, and he hasn't started in a long time, since January the 8th is the last time we saw Spencer Knight in net. So that's over a month. So if he does play here for the Panthers, is he going to be sharp? I'm not so sure. I like over 6.5. I mean, that to me is the obvious bet here rather than a side. I think both teams find the back of the net. The Blues, the one thing the Blues can still do is score some goals. We've seen that at times. Florida can still give them up. And on the flip side, I think Florida will definitely find their way to some offense tonight against this miserable St. Louis defense. I mean, they have not played well. Defending in their own zone has been a problem for them lately. There's no doubt. In terms of props tonight, so I like over 6.5 in this game. Prop-wise, E2 Kuhlman, Lusterinen, Anton Lundell, Montour, Kachuk, Verhaeghe. I mean, it's really been those guys. And from a shots on goal perspective, I'm looking at my recent trends here that I have available to me in terms of shots on goal. Aaron Ekblad has gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 8 of the last 10 games and 8 straight games coming into tonight. So make sure you are aware of that. That is a red-hot goal shots on goal prop right now. Prop player, that is, Aaron Ekblad for the Florida Panthers. And look, the juice isn't horrible in some spots. He is as high as minus 160 in some books, over 2.5, but you could still get it a couple as low as minus 143 or minus 145. So Aaron Ekblad's been just shooting the puck left and right for the Florida Panthers. That's not a bad prop option there for the shots on goal market. It looks like Matthew Tkachuk's gone over shots in 7 of the last 10. Sam Reinhart's gone over shots in 7 of the last 10 for the Florida Panthers. Like I said, Lundell's been a point machine. Don't sleep on Kuhlman, Lusterinen. St. Louis, from their standpoint, Kyrou has actually been trending with his shots on goal over as well. Something you might want to consider as well. So he looks like one of the stronger shots on goal trending over props right now is for St. Louis, Jordan Kyrou. So definitely a lot of good options there. Yeah, Verhaeghe over shots on goal. Alex mentioning him. I don't hate that. Definitely he's been trending that way. We mentioned him being over the shots on goal yesterday. Look at the numbers here. Oh, I think you have to take it again. 6.54, 5.453. The shots on goal for Verhaeghe for Florida of late. And the price is shop around. Some books have 2.5 at, let me see here. It's 2.5 minus 133 at some spots. Yeah, I'm seeing some books have 3.5 at a plus price, and I'm seeing North Star Bets, Unibet. Couple books there have 2.5 over at minus 133 on Carter Verhaeghe. If you can have set up shop at one of those two books that have that over 2.5 minus 133 on Carter Verhaeghe over shots on goal, bet it. That's an incredible number for a guy that has gone over that 2.5 in how many straight games? A bunch for the Florida Panthers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games. 7 straight games with at least 3 shots on goal for the Florida Panthers. So that's a good look. What do you think here, Ben? Florida, St. Louis.
Yeah, so I'm all over this over. 5-1 to the over in the last 20 games after an under in the Panthers' last 20. So I think that's an automatic over. We saw the under last night with the Wild. I had that on my card last night, as I mentioned before. I think the Wild just, they play a tight defensive game, and I think that's what the core of their team is about. So, but I'm all over the over tonight. As far as the side, I definitely lean the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to go on somewhat of a run. I think, let me see their schedule coming up, but I think they have a pretty favorable schedule until the Tampa Bay game. Washington going through its injuries and all that. So I do lean the Panthers, and I like how they came out of the All-Star break. I just like their form. I like how they got back to scoring goals. The team we saw last year was hinting after the All-Star break, and I think they tightened it up. So I haven't got to the window with the Panthers, but I locked in the over last night, especially with Bennington. 8.57 save percent average. I don't know if I could ever bet it under with someone like that tonight. Spencer Knight allowing 3.06 goals a game. Better save percentage average than Binnington, but I still think he can allow some goals tonight. So let's go with the over, and I'm leaning Panthers.
All right, over and leaning Panthers here. Lean Panthers, but liking the over more. It's kind of the way I
Right.
feel about this game. I
Right.
I may bet Florida still, but it's not strong. It's the over's the strong look for me. I think that's the
Right.
best way to approach it. Side or total in that game. All right, Seattle, Winnipeg. We've got Winnipeg minus 130, home favorite, 6 the total in this one. We've got the struggling Seattle Kraken coming into town here against the Winnipeg Jets, although they did finally get their first win after the All-Star break, after 3 losses coming out of the break against the Islanders, Devils, and Rangers. Finally back in the win column with a 4-3 win against Philadelphia on Super Bowl Sunday. They'll look to keep it going here against Winnipeg. The Jets, they won their first game after the All-Star break, 4-1 against the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll see if they carry that over. These teams met twice earlier this year, both in Seattle, and they split those 2 meetings earlier in the season. As far as the matchup tonight goes, Philip Grubauer in net once again for the Seattle Kraken, and it was Grubauer who got the start against Philadelphia and got the win. I think our guy Dave Hackstall, head coach of the Kraken here, is starting to think what I'm thinking. It's time to see if we can get Philip Grubauer going. All right, see if we can get him kick-started. See if we can get anything close to the form he had in Colorado a couple years ago. Because guess what? Martin Jones is the arrow's pointing down. Yeah, that's a stock you want to sell right now. Sell when it comes to a Martin Jones. He had an incredible first half of the season, but he hasn't played as well since the break and really for the last few weeks. So when you look at this matchup, I think it's the right move. Let's try to get Philip Grubauer going, get his confidence back. He was an excellent goalie a couple of years ago. Let's see if we can get him back to that level. It looks like, by the way, surprising news here at the, by the way, Dylan DeMello, one of the key defensemen for Winnipeg, looks like he's going to be back from injury tonight. But Connor Hellebuck, under the weather, according to Rick Bowness at his morning skate press conference earlier today, saying he might not play tonight against Seattle. So Hellebuck's availability will be known closer to puck drop. So David Riddick, big save, Dave. Do I say that now? I mean, he has played okay at times this year. For the Winnipeg Jets. We'll see how he fares. He hasn't started since at Philadelphia, January 22nd. They did lose that, or they actually did win that game. It was in Philly. He gave up 3 goals on 31 shots, but they got 5 goals for him, and they won that game 5-3. He actually has won each of his last 3 starts here for the Jets. So if it is Riddick, he has played a little bit better. He gave up just the 1 goal in a victory against Pittsburgh. 4 goals against Vancouver, but they scored 7 for him and were able to get the victory in that game against the Canucks. So it could be a David Riddick sighting here in this one. And Riddick did play the 2 games against Seattle, and he won both games. So don't just say bet Seattle because of Riddick, but this is definitely a game I'm staying off it right now from a side and totals perspective until we get the goalie confirmation for Winnipeg going into this game. So that's the way I would probably approach it. As far as the prop market goes for this game, let me see. Eeli Tolvanen for Seattle. I keep mentioning him. He continues to be extremely undervalued in terms of player props for the Seattle Kraken. He scored again against Philadelphia on Sunday. He has 4 goals in the last 7 games for the Kraken. I've talked about him. Now, you could always still bet Wenberg and Beniers and Eberle and your usual suspects, but Tolvanen continues to be extremely under the radar and great value here in this game moving forward for the Kraken. And then on the Winnipeg side of things, it looks like here what I would go with potentially here is Josh Morrissey's always shooting the puck a lot as well. There's been some games he's gotten over 2.5 shots 3 of the last 4 games. He's probably worth a look with shots on goal prop. He's got 3 goals and 4 points in the last 2 games for the Jets against Chicago and St. Louis. So the goal prop and the point prop and the shots on goal prop, they're all probably good looks for the excellent defenseman who's having a career season, Josh Morrissey, for the Winnipeg Jets. So what do you think here, Ben? Seattle and Winnipeg?
Yeah, I don't love this game. Kraken have been super inconsistent, but I do think this is a good revenge spot for the Jets. We saw them lose to the Kraken last game they played, and I think they could get up for this game. However, I just don't fully trust the Jets yet. I can't figure them out. Last year they were inconsistent. This year they seem to be trending the same way, or just the feel of it. That's every time I bet them, it's just shaky. I'm more looking at a player prop, Pierre-Luc Dubois. In 12 of the last 15 games, he's went over his shots on goal. It scares me a little bit tonight because the Kraken defense is pretty strong. So, but that's more of my lean, if anything. The Kraken, they played a couple last games. They won against the Flyers, the Blue Jackets, and the Canucks. But you know how we all feel about those teams. I do see the side for the Kraken on the plus money, but I'm just going to stay off the side totally and just take Pierre-Luc Dubois over shots.
All right, PLD. Are you down with PLD? Yeah, you know me. PLD.
I should start saying it like that because I feel like when I say Dubois, it doesn't sound.
There you go. You got to put the naughty by nature twist on it. Exactly.
Right.
100% right. But yeah, Pierre-Luc Dubois over 2.5 shots on goal for Ben, liking that prop in this one. All right, Boston, Dallas. We've got the Bruins minus 120 road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one. You know, it's hard not to look at the Bruins at a price like this off a loss as well. The 2-1 loss on national TV Saturday afternoon against Washington. Dallas had an opportunity to beat a good team at home. They couldn't against Tampa Bay on Saturday. I mean, it does feel cheap. I do like the Bruins a little bit here, minus 120. But I also think this could be a very close, tight, competitive game. And I think the draw, and I know Alex is more of the draw guy than me, but, you know, the draw at plus 320 might be worth a look here, honestly, in this game. You look at the matchup and the way it transpires here. You've got, obviously, the Bruins off the loss against Washington. But they're playing a lot of tight hockey right now, a lot of 2-1. You know, the 4-3 game with Florida was a 1-goal game. The Tampa game was a 1-goal game. Dallas plays, you know, everything tight to the vest. That was basically 50 seconds away from overtime on Saturday against Tampa Bay before the Lightning took the lead late. So that could have been overtime. And if that game goes to overtime, that would have been 5 of the last 6 Dallas Stars games to go beyond regulation. So I definitely think this is a draw spot, potentially. Plus 320, a very cagey game, to steal a soccer phrase. Good goaltending, because I think we're going to see Jake Ottinger back in net. Yes, it is confirmed. It was Wedgwood, remember, that got the start against Tampa Bay. We expect Allmark probably in net for Boston, the leading candidate probably right now to win the Vezina Trophy. So it probably is an under, but I hate unders at 5. I hate unders in general, I'll be honest, but I hate them even more when it's 5.5. You need, you know, a clean ride to get under the total, but it probably is a lower scoring game. Bruins minus 120, and I'll sprinkle just a little on the draw as well at plus 320. What do you think here, Ben? Bruins, Stars.
Sorry, I had to unmute there. Yeah, I love the under over here. I think we're gonna get a 1-3 game, 3-2 type of game. I would love for someone to drop the stats on how many games listed at 5.5 have gone under this year. I
would say more than not have. Yes.
Right. Every time I see a 5.5, I feel like it goes under. The previous game we talked about where it was 5.5 with the Hurricanes. This is a little different situation. The Stars have consistently gone under at home. We have Allmark in net, who's 26-4 with a 1.9 goal against average, and Ottinger is, you know, just as good almost. I think we definitely see the total to go under. And as far as the side, I'm definitely with you on Boston. They own a plus 215 shot differential, while the Stars on a plus 60 this season. Bruins are 13-3 in the last 16 games after scoring 2 goals or less. Boston is 7-1 when playing with 2 days of rest, while Dallas is 2-6 in the same situation. So definitely a buy low spot for the Bruins. I had them on a buy low spot back in the season, and it didn't go my way, but hopefully the Bruins bring it home. But my official play would be the under, and that's what I have locked in.
All right, liking the under here has been in this one. The draw is plus 320, by the way. If you're going,
I like the draw too.
Yeah,
I like the draw too. That was actually I always like to throw a couple bucks on a draw, especially if we hear Alex say it, because he's the draw king.
Yeah, definitely. The draw king. There's no question about that for sure. I would say definitely that's probably not a bad consideration here. Looking at the draw plus 320. I think it's a tight game, and I think hopefully the Bruins sneak it out. But that's why I'm on them minus 120. And again, off a loss, their record is still spectacular. I mean, other than that consecutive losing streak they had, 3 in a row. Boston right before the break against Tampa, Florida, Carolina, 3 very good teams on the road. Other than that, they have not lost 2 in a row this year, other than that little 3-game swoon they had. So we'll see if that off a loss trend and a bounce back ability the Bruins have shown all year comes back and shows itself tonight. All right, we've got Tampa Bay. And by the way, Zacha for the Bruins. Any props with him? Shots, goals, points, assists, anything with Zacha. I still think is worth a look for the Bruins right now. Tampa Bay, Colorado. We've got Tampa Bay minus 125 and Rope hints for Dallas. I mean, that's where you got to start and end your Dallas props with him because he's been really good lately. Tampa Bay, Colorado, another matchup between these two teams. They faced each other for the first time since the Stanley Cup final last Thursday on ESPN, and it was a beatdown for the Tampa Bay Lightning, 5-0. They will be looking to win again against Colorado here as they take the trip to Denver. Tampa Bay minus 125, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Money's come in on Tampa Bay. It's a reaction to really a lot of injuries here for the Colorado Avalanche on the blue line, including it looks like, Eric Johnson's on IR. Josh Manson's been out for a while, but Eric Johnson's been added to IR, and Cale Makar will not play tonight against Tampa Bay. He has missed the last 2 games. They did beat Florida without him, though, 5-3 for their first win since the All-Star break. They had that loss against Pittsburgh where they didn't deserve the loss, but they lost because they just couldn't bury their chances. But they were all over the Penguins. It was a rope-a-dope, and the Penguins stole one. And then the Tampa Bay game, I thought they played well early. I mean, it was an even game, and then everything Tampa Bay shot at the net went in, and it was a great night from Vasilevsky in net. He was very good against Colorado. It was one of the better games he's played in this season, I would think. And Tampa Bay just pulled away. And once Colorado got down, 4-0, you could sense the wind was coming out of their sails a little bit. And then it ended up being a 5-0 shutout win for the Tampa Bay Lightning in that game. So I'm not stepping in front of Colorado in this spot. It's just a question of, do I want to back them? I'm on the fence right now. But I would only look Colorado in this spot. They're seeking their vengeance here after that 5-0 beatdown. They did get off the schneid and beat Florida 5-3. 50 shots on goal. They got back to their, controlling the play, generating a lot of high-quality chances, peppering the net. They were just absolutely outstanding against the Florida Panthers. But the injury bug is real for them right now. So that's why I'm hesitant. You've got Eric Johnson out, Manson out, Makar. That's 3 starting D. I don't like that situation a whole lot. Georgiev in net for the Colorado Avalanche here in this game. He has been not so good the last couple. He gave up 3 to Florida, the 5 against Tampa. We'll see if he can bounce back here. Vasilevsky, as you would expect, in net. But the thing that I keep coming back to is Tampa Bay is a shell of the team they are at Amalie Arena on the road lately. The Dallas game, they won that game on the road, but if you watch that game, it was on our betcast, they were not dominant in that game against Dallas. In fact, I thought Dallas outplayed Tampa Bay in that game on Saturday afternoon, and they got a goal late in the game to win it. In a game that could have went either way. Tampa Bay easily could have lost that game. Dallas was all over them in the first period. Vasilevsky made a bunch of saves, but he's Vasilevsky. He can do that. He can bail out a team when they're not playing well on any given shift or any given period. Vasilevsky can bail his team out, and he did that. So there's always the fear he does that again here, but it would be Colorado or nothing for me, especially now that they are a very rare home underdog at plus 105 in this one. I haven't made the decision to bet it yet, but definitely leaning that way. I'm not a big saves prop guy or a goalie prop better. I don't bet many of these. This could be a night to bet Vasilevsky over saves. I think they're going to pepper a shit ton of shots on him tonight, Colorado. This is a team that's not going to take it very lightly that they got buried 5-0 in Tampa last week. So if you can find props for Andrei Vasilevsky over saves, I think that's probably a good look. I think Colorado's going to fire some rubber against this Tampa Bay team. And Tampa Bay gives up more shots on the road as well than they do at home. So if you can find Vasilevsky saves props over 30.5, I think that's probably something to look for tonight in this game. What do you think here, Ben? Tampa Bay, Colorado.
Yeah, so I just confirmed on Daily Faceoff. I don't see Cale Makar playing today, so a little confused on that. But I locked in Lightning money line last night. However, something to contradict that bet, I do think the Avs come out motivated. So maybe a small lean to the first period money line or puck line. I think that could be a good way to look at it. 5-0 is, pathetic, and I think they definitely want to come out firing. Whether they win the game or not, I don't know. I lean Lightning, just personally. I did see a couple shots over goal on some website trends this morning. Nikushin over 2.5 looks good. Braden Point 3 out of 4. He hit those last game. So the player props, I definitely look around and try to get the best trends and the best information on. And the money lines, that's I try to go with my gut and my feeling and the best information we get. But those are the player props I like. I lean Lightning money line, and total wise, I don't know. We could see a tight checking game from Colorado since they took such a beating, but Lightning have been flying over the total, so I do like them on that. But we have a good goalie in that tonight, so.
Yeah, there's a couple good shots on goal props. Nichushkin's one for sure. Hagel, has been on fire here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and his shots on goal prop is a plus price over 2.5. To get a point, minus 140 for Hagel. To get a goal, plus 220. Like, Hagel's just been just awesome for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he's not getting priced always like it. For the Colorado Avalanche, in terms of props tonight, Nichushkin, I think, is going to eventually get that offense going like we know he can. Don't sleep on Evan Rodriguez either lately for Colorado. And by the way, the juice is a little bit too high for my liking. Over 2.5 shots on Rodriguez at minus 175. But man, he's been automatic. If you're willing to, lay the wood and lay the juice on Rodriguez over 2.5 shots on goal, I mean, he's been almost automatic going over that number of late. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Hagel's the obvious candidate for me for a prop on the Tampa Bay side. Braden Point, I mean, you're obviously not getting the value, but I mean, he's just been almost automatic. I mean, he didn't score held off the score sheet against Dallas, but he's one of those players where when he does get held off the score sheet one game, don't expect it to continue the next game. And before that Dallas game, this is a guy that was on a 8-game consecutive game point streak. And during that span, he had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals for the Lightning as well. So keep that in mind for this game. But
Ian, were you moving on to the next game, or you had
no, go ahead. No,
yeah, I also think I just wanted to point out, I think when you beat the Stars at home, that's just a good look. And I think that sets you up for a good little spot to go with, in my opinion. Just kind of looking that over real quick. They looked good in the first period in the Panthers game too,
Yeah, definitely. They did look good against Florida on Saturday. Colorado needed a win because they had lost the last couple. So we'll see how he fares here. Yeah, his Twitter handle is not. He had a Twitter handle that's actually not his Twitter. It's real Ben James.
Yeah,
Ben James real. Ben
but
James real with his Twitter.
Right, but I give out all my picks personally at Straight Bet Ben on Instagram. I still have to get the Discord, the Twitter, and all that going.
To get exactly. Get it in sync. Yeah, get a real bet Ben on Twitter. Exactly.
We've only been live 30 days, so I've just been trying to build a good record for people to believe in me.
There we go. That's exactly when sounds like me 13 years ago when I was starting, and it was the likes of Aaron Renning and Ted Savransky that believed in me and gave me a shot. So that's why we always try to give other people a chance here in the sports betting community. All right. So again, I lean Colorado. I'm on the fence with the total. It's 6. It's one of those games where I could see it being over. I could see it being under. Don't really have a strong feel for it either way with the total here in this game. But it'll be an interesting game, obviously, with those two teams. A lot of history between them, and we'll see how they fare tonight, the Avalanche, after getting drilled 5-0 by the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would lean over with this total if I had to pick it, but if I had to bet it. But again, nothing overly strong at the moment. All right, Pittsburgh, San Jose, final game of this Tuesday slate. Pittsburgh Penguins, San Jose Sharks. We got Pittsburgh -170, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Pittsburgh just drilled by LA on Dustin Brown night. It was ugly. It got away from them. Crosby gets so frustrated. He gets his first ever game misconduct and ejected from the game. I can't believe that's the first time that's happened to him. I know he's Sidney Crosby. He acts like an angel all the time, it seems, off the ice. But my goodness, that was the first time he's been kicked out of a game. Still a little surprising to me when you think of it. But 6-0 loss to the LA Kings. Ugly, ugly loss for the Penguins. We'll see if they bounce back here. I cashed a ticket with San Jose. They're not the easiest team to fade right now because they've won 3 of 4, including 2 of 3 since the break. They beat Tampa. They beat Pittsburgh 6-4 in Pittsburgh. So that's actually a little angle to consider here. Revenge situation for Pittsburgh. They lost 6-4 at home against San Jose back on January 28th. But Tampa Bay's playing feisty hockey. The effort's there, the work ethic, the compete's there. They beat Tampa Bay 4-3 in overtime. They 4-1 lost to Florida, but that was 2-1 late, and then the Florida Panthers got a couple empty net goals, and then they had the big upset win against Washington, 4-1 on the weekend. Here's the issue, though, with the Sharks tonight, even though they've been playing better. This is a tough spot, okay? That are coming back home off the road trip. For as long as I've been doing this, which is 13 years full-time, San Jose home off a road trip has been a bet against spot. This is not a team you want your money on when they're coming back home, especially when they're coming back home from an East Coast road trip. They're even worse in this type of situation. You do have the Penguins coming off an embarrassment as well against the LA Kings. So this to me looks to be a Pittsburgh first period puck line and a Pittsburgh, regulation bet if I were to get involved in it. And remember, Pittsburgh against Anaheim, if you looked in those two directions, and I did with the first period puck line, I didn't actually only bet the first period puck line, but Pittsburgh won in regulation 6-3 against Anaheim. If you took those two bets, you cashed with Pittsburgh against Anaheim. I'd probably look in that direction here. Pittsburgh -0.5 at around +150 in the first period. Pittsburgh in regulation is right around -102 at Pinnacle in this game. And I like the over here, 6.5. I think you're going to see goals here between these two teams. Pittsburgh still is not exactly a lockdown, shutdown defensive group right now, and that's putting it mildly. I think San Jose off the road trip, little fatigue physically, mentally, and that's when you make mistakes with the puck oftentimes. So this is a nice little late game where I think we've got some good opportunities here. Pittsburgh first period puck line, Pittsburgh in regulation, and the over 6.5. And this is a good prop game too. San Jose, you must start and end your props right now with Meyer and Carlson. Okay, these are the two guys that are going to be dealt. These are the two guys showcasing themselves for every other suitor right now. This is what we can bring to a hockey team. And Meyer and Carlson, any props involving them are worth a look right now. This is absolutely insane what Carlson's doing right now. He has multi-point games in 3 of the last 4, so don't be shy about maybe over 1.5 points with him right now. 3 goals in the last 4 games. Don't be shy about goal scorer prop with Erik Karlsson right now as well. And again, showcasing himself. He's going to be moved. There's a bunch of teams interested, so it's good props, a good prop theory and prop strategy, in my opinion, to look at both Carlson and Meyer. They want to perform here leading into the trade deadline and perform well. There's even some other options. Barabanov's been nice for San Jose lately. 3 goals in the last 4 games, 4-game point streak, 7 points in the last 4 games. Barabanov is a good look for San Jose as well. And then on the Pittsburgh side, we usually go back to the well with the same cast of characters. Raquel, I often like his props because he's undervalued. Jason Zucker, same thing there. But this could be a night where Sidney Crosby, who was on a 9-game point streak, it was snapped in the shutout loss against LA. He got kicked out of the game. This might be a game where number 87, brings it big time tonight. I mean, obviously, it's a horrible game. He gets ejected from the game. You could get creative maybe and look at Crosby to score a goal, even though, again, your price with him to score is never as good as other players, but plus 140 is all you get. But again, I could see him having a big night, maybe over 1.5 points at plus 170, worth a look. Shots on goal over 2.5 with Crosby, which stayed under. But I think he's been trending over with the shots on goal prop lately. So you got to believe, look, he got his ass kicked out of the game against the Kings. First time in his career. They got shut out. Everyone's kind of mocking him after that, Crosby got kicked out of the game. He's angry. He's upset. And then all of a sudden tonight he shows up and wants to prove a point here against San Jose. So Crosby props might be very live tonight as well against the Sharks. What do you think here, Ben? Final game of the night, Penguins, Sharks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm going to tail you on that Crosby prop. I'm new to the player props kind of, so when I hear good ones and good trends, I'll definitely hop on it. I'm with you on the over 6.5, 2 high scoring teams, and like we said, like the Penguins are gonna come in this game like all business, Also, we're getting the Pens at a good price. Last time they played, the Pens were at minus 230. Now we get them at, I think it opened at minus 150 or something like that. I was able to lock it in at minus 155. And yeah, I just think we see a really good, strong revenge spot from Pittsburgh tonight. Sharks are 5-19 at home. They're 5-19 at home, which is, just a pathetic record. And we all know how the Sharks are in general. So I'm definitely with you on the Penguins. I actually already locked that in tonight. I gave it out and I didn't place the over 6.5, but I would definitely lean that way when it comes to that. And I'm going to lock in Barbanoff. Maybe I'll lock in Barbanoff too. But I do like the Crosby one a lot. That one I will definitely lock in, especially at 2.5.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just situational handicapping is Pittsburgh through and through tonight in this spot because San Jose is coming off the road trip. Pittsburgh got totally, shellacked by the LA Kings, 6-0, got shut out, blank, didn't even score a goal. I mean, and in revenge too for a home loss against San Jose right before the break when they were laying a huge number. So all of that points to the Penguins tonight. Let's hope they can get the job done here because they're an erratic bunch right now. We have to admit that.
And Ian, I would also, excuse me 1 second. I would also say that if the Sharks are up a goal when they go into the second period, hammer the Penguins money line. The Sharks cannot keep a lead. And that's the one thing I have been successful on when it comes to live betting is when the Sharks are up a goal, I take the other team to win.
Yeah. It wouldn't have worked Sunday against Washington, but
that's right. It wouldn't have worked
more often than not.
Right. And that's what I look for. I look for things that are consistent, and that's how you build a good bankroll, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Live betting, there's always opportunities in every sport. That's especially true in the NHL. All right, great stuff. Ben James, great job. Hell of a job, actually. Very impressive. Your first appearance on the Ice Guys. We'll maybe get you back down the road here later in the season. But tell everyone how to follow you.
Yeah, so you can follow me currently at Instagram, Straight Bet Ben. All my other profiles, Ben James Real, but that's my personal profiles. But I'm just on Instagram right now, Straight Bet Ben. I'll have a Twitter, TikTok, and Discord coming. But yeah, Ian, I appreciate you having me on, man. I definitely look forward to hopefully coming back on the show. I'm trying to learn as much as possible. I feel like you're loaded with knowledge, and watching your show every day and catching you guys just on my car rides, I'm able to retain a lot, learn a lot, and make some money. So let's make some money tonight, guys. And I appreciate you having me on, and thank you to everyone in the chat. I appreciate it.
There we go. Good stuff. Hang around, though, of course, for best bets. That's coming up. And I do want to mention the goalie matchup here. It's Casey DeSmith. Jari not ready yet. Casey DeSmith obviously got pulled on Saturday against LA, and it was a rough night for the whole team. Was bad, though. You can't put it all on DeSmith, but you'd expect he'll want to be. He's a competitor. He's a guy that's capable of playing well every now and then. This could be one of those spots he plays better. He's back in net, and it's Farmer in the Dell, our old friend, by the way, Aaron Dell, confirmed in net for the San Jose Sharks tonight. I was thinking it was going to be Kaapo Kahkonen again, but again, he left that game on Sunday against the Washington Capitals due to injury, and it looks like James Reimer for the Sharks still day-to-day with his illness and not available again tonight. So they've got no choice. Kahkonen, it looks like they want to give him some rest here with his injury that he went through against Washington. So it's Aaron Dell tonight for San Jose in this game. And, we're not big fans of him. That's not, we're not big fans of him. We just don't trust the guy to win games and make saves routinely. So that could be an advantage as well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right, hit the like button. 228 live viewers on YouTube. We appreciate it. And also, shout out to our podcast listeners as well. We'll be right back with best bets to wrap up the show right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about. And manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys, and we're ready to wrap it up for a Tuesday with Best Bets. Ben James, his first ever best bet here on the Ice Guys. What do you like?
So I am going to go with the Bruins versus Stars under, I guess I should say under 5.5. I got it at 6 when it opened. Stars are 4-0 in the last 4, scoring 2 goals or less in the previous game. Under is 4-0 in the Stars last 5 versus Atlantic. Under is 6-0-1 in Bruins last 7 games, allowing 2 goals or less in the previous game. And the under is also 5-1 in Bruins last 6 versus a team with a winning record. So I'm going to rock with the Bruins and Stars under 5.5.
All right, there it is. Bruins and Stars under 5.5 for Ben with his best bet here for this Tuesday. Alex B. Smith, by the way, his best bet, and I'll pass it along because he mentioned it in our DM here that he sent me. Obviously, he's had all kinds of internet and tech issues today. He's on Chicago plus 125, Kirby Dach anytime goal scorer for Montreal, Carter Verhaeghe over shots on goal. His best bet, though, is Pittsburgh San Jose first period over 2 plus 120. So that's Pittsburgh San Jose over 2 plus 120 first period for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet, I'm going at Carolina regulation here. Great price on that. Bounce back spot. No Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals. I think the Hurricanes get it done, and I think they get it done in 60 minutes. And hey, I think I would have been on the straight money line if the line hadn't moved. If it was still minus 150 or lower, I would have gone full game money line. But now that it's up to minus 170, we'll go with the regulation line here with Carolina. Carolina in regulation, minus 102 against Washington for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Great job by Ben James in his first ever appearance here on the Ice Guys. We appreciate him joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For our special guest, Ben James, Alex B. Smith as well, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.